This is Kay Rudolph. This is a tutorial on creating image overlays on Google Earth. So to start out with, let's talk about finding an image that you want to use for an image overlay. A great place to start is Old Maps Online. So I would like to have you browse for and use the exact map that I am using here in this tutorial, just for the purpose of practice and getting used to doing the image overlays. So go to Old Maps Online, click on Find a Place, and enter Cape Ann, Massachusetts, and click Find. This zooms in very closely, so we're going to want to zoom out a little bit to find the map that I'm interested in. So zoom out until you can see the area of Rockport and Massachusetts. And now you will see these two maps pop up. Old Maps Online is sensitive to what you're looking at in the screen, and it adjusts the index of available maps based on what you're viewing. Click on this top map here, this map of Gloucester and Cape Ann, the 1831. And you can see this is from the Harvard Library. You might want to explore this, but later, not right now. Click on View This Map. And here we can see the map, we can explore it, but what we want to do is we want to save it to our computer. So I don't see a Save button, so I will right-click on it. When I do so, it says to save an image, select a size from the View Full Image drop-down window. Every website has its particular way of doing things. So, okay. Click OK, and I'm going to select extra large because I want the highest definition possible, and that looks pretty nice actually. So now it is filling my screen. I'm going to right click, save image as, and save it to my computer. The first thing that you're going to want to do is mentally, not physically as you see here, but mentally you're going to want to identify at least 5 points on the map that's going to be the overlay. I like to use 5 sort of corner points and 1 sort of center point. And this is going to help you to place the map on Google Earth. So we have up here, if you zoom in very closely on your image, you'll see Cross Island up here. We have Halibut Point over here, Thatcher Island in the southeast, and Kettle Island in the southwest. And I couldn't find a really good marker in the middle, but I thought, you know, this junction between these 3 large rivers might be a good center point. And so I'm going to put my 5th marker directly in the middle of that junction. So Cross Island, Halibut Point, Thatcher Island, Kettle Island. Another thing to notice is this map is not pointing due north. It's rotated a little bit. Something to keep in mind as you start to try to place your map. All right, so on Google Earth, I'm going to go through and do a search for each of those locations. Cross Island, Essex, Massachusetts, Halibut Point, Thatcher Island, and Kettle Island. I am going to use the place marker tool to insert a place marker at each of these points and give it a title that I'll recognize. In searching for Halibut Point, I found Halibut Point State Park. That was good enough to get me close, so I put Halibut Point there. Thatcher Island. I decided to pick the northernmost point on Thatcher Island. Kettle Island. I also tried to pick a northernmost point on Kettle Island. And then my center point of these 3 rivers. So I have my 5 points marked on Google Earth, and I am going to zoom out so that my overlay will be about the size of my screen. When I click on the image overlay sign, you can see the markers will guide you as to where it's going to fit in. You can see that the map is approximately the right size for this Google Earth screen, but as we pointed out earlier, north is not pointing in the same direction on the map as it is on Google Earth. We can fix that quickly using this rotate button here. And this is the part where you're going to just fuss with it a bit. Pulling out each of the corners and the sides and adjusting so that you can line up these points: Cross Island, Halibut Point, Thatcher Island, and Kettle Island. It's a trial and error process. You may find it helpful to change the opacity to a little less than 50% so that you can see the black outlines from the map, but also see the coastline of Google Earth's satellite image. And that will let you make your adjustments more finely tuned. This is one process for adjusting an image overlay. And sometimes it's satisfactory, but sometimes it doesn't produce the best results. There is a second method that I'm going to show you that you want to take some time practicing with as well. And that is using the Latitude, Longitude quad option. So on the Properties box for the map, click on Location and convert to Lat-Lon quad. Now this is especially good if you're overlaying a USGS topographic map, because you simply note the northern, eastern, southern, and western boundaries of the quad map, and it will fit in very nicely. But it's also useful in this situation, surprisingly. Now, this is definitely something that you're going to have to practice with a bit. Once you've selected Convert to Quad, you lose the option of the rotation button. So you're going to have to manually rotate the map by grabbing the corners. The 4 corners are the only way that you can change the map, grabbing them and sort of twisting the map into its proper orientation. Set your opacity to about halfway and continue doing your adjusting with the 4 corners. I found that this map worked particularly well with the Lat-Lon quad option. I've got my 4 points lining up. I have my center lining up, and you can see that the coastline lines up eerily well. Now, kudos to the 1831 surveyor who created this map. They did a pretty damned impressive job. Not all maps are going to line up as smoothly as this, but that's why I chose this map for a practice, because I knew that it was something that you would be able to work with successfully. It will take trial and error. Once you have converted to the lat-lon quad option, you can't go back to the original method that we showed first. But you can save this by one name and then overlay it a second time and try a different method. So you can overlay it twice, once using the standard method and a second time using the latitude longitude quad method. So have some fun with it. It is fun. It is going to take some practice to get comfortable with it. This is a really good map for you to work with on that. Then have some fun exploring old maps online and finding early topographic maps would be a good place to start, because they're going to be well surveyed and fit in nicely. And it's also very nice to get those early topographic maps that really show the landmarks that your ancestors in the late 19th, early 20th century would have been familiar with. When you're done, you can uncheck the landmarks that you used, reset your opacity to 100%.